Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. Let's make some silence first. Remind yourself each day, several times in a day. Keep watchful. Keep watchful of your investments. And remind yourself, I don't want anything else from this world anymore. Just freedom. And remind yourself constantly. Write this where you can read it, where it is visible daily, so that you may cut the investments that start in an innocent way, apparently. I don't want anything else from this world anymore. Just freedom. I will answer your questions now. Dear Sriman, I have been following the satsangs for some time and put into practice because I feel where it points internally. Currently, my material situation challenged me to see if I agree with my quest. I explain. Currently, I will not name the subject. Currently, something is being imposed on me, and if I refuse, I lose my salary. I'm confronted either to keep my material side by accepting that, either I refuse because it doesn't resonate with me. I feel that life is testing me, namely, until I'm ready to leave everything for the divine, I'm in a big dilemma. Because on one hand, it has gone bankrupt. On the other, I feel the harmony that I don't want anything from this world. I listen to the satsangs very often, and it happens to me to be tested compared to your teaching. Thank you for reading me and to enlighten me in my situation, which tests me to see my confidence is well established. I practiced meditation. I don't want nothing from this world because I feel it also, and I follow your teaching because it resonates even if I'm kindergarten. I would like to go to university. If I don't have any salary, it's not a problem. If I have not credit bank, actually I sell my house since a month, but nobody buy it. I managed to leave everything material to keep me in this system world. Last question. If my quest is it only to be adapting of an adapting of the worldly, or is it the same of sincerity? We will see. This we will see. But that's a common practice, a common thing. When you start seriously into the quest for truth, seriously, you'll be tested, of course, to see if you have what it takes to keep on going. And circumstances tend to present themselves in a way that cannot be countered. For example, all this situation that you're going through, many people are going through, but in your case, there is this spiritual context of it. So if you had been able to sell your house, you wouldn't be in that situation. Sometimes, well, you put your house for sale for the same reason that you're in that dilemma, because of what you feel is important in your spiritual quest. But that doesn't mean that the door opens immediately. Sometimes it can take time because other things need to be tested first. Certain circumstances need to be lived to strengthen yourself. And sincerity is something that, well, you'll discover it bit by bit, because everyone's sincere until they face something that it is too much for them. That the one who is the seeker of truth, that he is really just for freedom, he will go through whatever is there Others that are not at that level of preparedness, they will go until they reach the point that that which is being presented is too much. And in that moment, they give up. And giving up has different meanings. Can be giving up, oh, I stop everything, or I take another path, a detour, or I just follow something else. It's a different type of quitting, more masked, but same thing. So those situations that are presenting to you, they are there to test in practical terms what you have been affirming so far. And your positioning so far is aligned, and well, we'll have to see the fruits of it. But doesn't matter in which circumstance, if it is a serious process, tests will come. Especially when you start saying, I don't want anything else from this world anymore. The world says, let's see. And it is, in practical terms, that you can really transcend those limitations. As you can see, fears are there, but at the same time, you feel the harmony of the prospect of being without anything. You can only have these experiences in practical terms, not in theoretical terms. Because if nothing is threatening, if you have all securities in place, you say, I don't want anything else from this world, means nothing. There's no real threat. So it's just a mental exercise. Because life doesn't apparently take care of itself on its own. Apparently, because it's not really like that. But from your point of view, everything you hold dear and is near, or you're trying to make it near, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of investment. Possessions, relationships, all this needs a lot of investment, daily investment. There are certain things that are there without any investment. They are there. And you can see this, and more or less everything is like this. But you can only have these experiences and see these things that are there without taking care of them, because they are not important to you. Only the meaningless things you can see, which are not important, because those that are important, you can't stop yourself from investing in them. In different ways, some more subtle than others. Some with more intensity investment than others. But it is there through your work, through your investment. And as you start stopping those investments, they start moving away. Possessions, relationships, if you don't invest, they go away. And if they are important, you cannot even stop yourself from investing in them. So to be able, if you're not even questioning that, you will imagine that things are just there. And you don't even realize how much work and investment it takes, and has the fears, and how many fears are there. But if you can imagine, just imagine, how would it be to leave everything behind if it is a serious exercise, you will see the fears surfacing and showing you that that peace that you call peace, it's nothing really. So the more serious is your commitment to the quest for truth, the more thirst you have for it, the more intense things become. That's the ingredient, is your thirst. And then all these tests will come intensely. And as you are in the middle of the tests, what matters is how you position yourself. How do you align yourself with the principles of the quest for truth, of what you know is right already? And this is what opens the next level and the next level. And it is a path of not going back, but moving forward. Because all these circumstances, they have a lot of things in their mind. Not just testing you, but also pointing the direction. As you fight it, you cannot see it. As you embrace it and try to see, where is this pointing? Where is this leading? For sure it is leading for something which is best for your quest for truth. It may not appear to be, but it is. So those who trust their minds as the guide in the quest for truth, they cannot move in this direction, because it is steps of faith. And the more intense it is, more opportunities comes with it. But also the challenges are bigger. And that is good news. So it is expected. And the best, when things become very intense, you should always take refuge in your practice, intensifying your meditation. Because in that situation, it is clear that one path is trying to end and another path is trying to open. It is, as we can call it, the supposed or the yet to be birth of the seeker of truth. As the worldly path is closing, the spiritual one is opening. It's not being visible yet, it's beyond the horizon, but it is opening. And the more you let go of one, the more the other opens up. So faith, surrender, upholding the highest, that which you know to be the highest, intensifying your meditation. And if there are any problems to be solved, if there's any direction to go, may that come from your meditation, from your practices, if guidance is not there. But don't use your meditation, your practices, to solve the problems or what may be considered a problem. Because spiritual practice, they are about transcending, not about solving, transcending. Don't transform your spiritual practices in a way to solve those problems. Because the prospect of losing something, it is telling you, let go of that. Continue. Leave it behind. For sure, it has to be a weight on your shoulders. But if you use your practices to solve the situation of not losing this or that, then you're twisting your practices. The practice is there to empower you, one aspect. But the empowering you has a different meaning here. A little bit contradicting in a sense. But this is empowering you to be able to be present in the face of your fragility. So it's not a power as a superpower. I become strong and I can solve and I can do this and I can take it in a strong way. It's not that. It's the power to remain in your fragility, in the presence of your fragility, in the presence of your fears, and just being there with that. And it brings clarity and direction. And it seems in a way an outer journey, but it isn't. The more you let go of these external things, the less time they will consume, and the easier the mind becomes still at the center, at the source. The more investments you have, the more distance you're from the source. And there's no way mind can stay there and remain there. And if it doesn't stay, doesn't remain, no dissolution. So the tragedies for the character, they are opportunities for the soul. That means that which is lower, that which is constraint, disillusion, what it sees as a tragedy, that in you which is highest, more pure, takes it as an opportunity. So the more difficulties there are in your worldly life, more opportunities are for your spirituality, for your quest for truth. So it's a tragedy depending from where are you looking. People say that it shouldn't be suffered. It shouldn't be difficult. It should be easy, flow. But from where does the suffering comes? Drug addiction, for example. People take drugs, they say they make them feel very good. They'll feel nice, high. But when it becomes an addiction and it starts destroying the body, it brings a lot of suffering. But it brings even more suffering to cut from the root that dependency. And the results are good, but it takes a lot of suffering. So it is the same, more or less. Individuality, a state of delusion. And there's addiction, intense addiction, especially to suffering. And breaking with that addiction brings suffering in itself. So you can take it that as the addicted one to some chemical substance, if its treatment is bringing him the same sensations, feeling high, feeling well, and all of this, well, probably it's a substance from the same nature that he was consuming previously. So there's no cutting the dependency, nothing has changed. When it is changing, you will feel the lack of it, and the suffering will arise. So in spirituality is more or less the same. You tend to choose that which brings you the same satisfaction, well-being, etc., etc. It may comes with a written that this is freedom product. But if it's not shaking your world, if it's not bringing your fears at surface, it's just the same thing, nothing different. Okay. Type of teachings and more resting in awareness resonates as the primary technique. However, I still feel a lot of peace and lightness when looking at the third eye area. Normal. Spiritual practices are like that. But this has to be a little bit more explained. How long is this looking at the third eye, for example? But, okay, so let's make some comments here. These types of teachings, resting in awareness, resonates as the primary technique, but still feel a lot of peace and lightness when looking at the third eye area. So there is a shifting in the practice. So it is testing this, testing that, and the evaluation is peace and lightening, one of the criterias. So if it has peace and lightness, then it is good. And as the other one, well, it resonates as the primary technique, but resonates at what level? So clarifications are needed here. But for one, we can say that you are choosing your practice. This is the first thing. And you are shifting from one practice to another practice. Criteria seem to be well-being oriented. And this is not yet, this is still playing with toys. You see, because when the thing becomes serious, there's no choosing technique. Technique is given by guidance, in what sorts of, as it comes. And it is practiced until guidance says, stop it and changing to this. And in a serious practice, for example, a superficial practice, you concentrate for 15 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, more or less. Probably biggest chances of good sensations arising. More or less. But if you increase this 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, 2 hours, so on, at each sitting, then it goes far more beyond this feeling good, because it is a kind of taking a breath of oxygen in the middle of your chaos. But it is a superficial work. Then it brings this well-being, like a massage or listening to music that really distracts you from yourself. So it brings you this feeling good. But this is superficial yet. It's not piercing through the layers of your securities or the securities of the character. And in this work, well, those moments of feeling good and lightness, they are there, yes. But the others are also there, much more intensely, especially in the beginning. So it's a different kind of work that should not be well-being oriented, because experiences will change during the practice, will fluctuate a lot, depending on what is needed. So there will be times that grace will be there. There will be times that hell will be there. And it is about doing or exposing yourself to that which is needed, not about picking the type of experiences that you fathom to be the best ones. And resting in awareness. First, we would have to understand what is the meaning that you're giving to these words. First of all. Because this resting in awareness as the real meaning of it is advanced practice. And for sure, the one who is choosing this and that, it's not yet at that level. So whatever you're practicing of resting in awareness has nothing to do with resting in awareness. Because resting in awareness, that is what is left when all fears, all attachments, all dependencies are cut. When not even the life of that body is important. At that level, the mind rests. There's this resting in awareness. No gross aspect is there. Nothing important to pull attention, to direct it. And even these words, depending on where you stand, they will be misinterpreted. It's more like awareness resting 24/7. It's growing on me and my heart is simply surrendering to it. Okay. How to overcome from addiction? Well, in this sense, by silence and stillness. That means whatever is there threatening, whatever is there forcing you into action, into protection mode, into securing that which is there threatening to leave you. You hold your grounds. You keep your practices. You do nothing to change that situation. And you just be in the presence of your fears and your fragility. If you're doing this, eventually you will see the grip of it, the power it has over you, fading. To stay there in the presence of your fragilities, of your fears, a lot of impulses will arise to change that situation. A lot of thoughts will come full of negativities. Pain, discomfort will be there. And you just hold your grounds. You don't defend yourself from it. You don't use positive thoughts to counter the negativity. Oh, but this is for my own good, or this will be better. No. Because if you do this, well, you're killing it. It's just suffering for nothing. There cannot be something to gain better than that. Or else you're just adapting. Filling your mind with hope. The kind of hope that it's not constructive. It's kind of a bypass. So everybody's seen this image of the drug addiction where they close the person in a room so that it cannot take any drugs, and it goes through that pain during the night and all of that. It's more or less the same, but it only takes a little bit longer. A little bit, that seems a lot. Depending on how strong it is, then the time that you are exposed to it can increase or diminish. So it's about the level of intensity for you, of importance for you. So there's like a mountain, for example. It takes the sun, it takes the rain, it takes the wind, it takes storms, lightning, everything. And it remains there most of the time. But it's the same. But it's different in the sense that the mountain has a hard surface that withstands. It is developing your strength as a mountain, but not as a shield. No protections on the outside. It is pure strength. It's not a strength that counters. It's a strength that withstands. The more you are able to stay with your weaknesses and not doing anything to protect yourself, the stronger you will become. Real strength. Okay. Another question. Another question. Crystal clear explanation. Thank you. You're welcome. How can I do meditation to connect with the fire element? Why would you want to do that? Well, for sure you must have your reasons, but that's not really my area of expertise. Meditation for freedom's sake, that is a time well spent. But to connect with the fire element, well, don't need to practice meditation, just put your finger in the fire. That's a connection. Just kidding. Well, these meditations for all these kinds of purposes, I don't deal with those things. Just freedom purpose, okay? Okay. So if there's no more questions, then okay, but if you want to add something to that question that you feel it's important, maybe there's some clarification that can be given. Probably not. Okay, so next satsang will be what day is it? Okay, will be Saturday, 9 o'clock in the morning, Brazilian time. Wait, okay. We must connect to the 5 elements within us, isn't it? No, we need to disconnect with the 5 elements. Disconnect. Transcending. Transcendence. Don't try to be an architect or an engineer in your spiritual process. That doesn't work. Take assumptions about things. Meditation, it's about disconnecting. Whatever is there that needs to be connected, let meditation take care of itself. You practice serious meditation. Meditation of silence and stillness, for example. And that doesn't mean it can be a mantra technique because it is directing you towards silence. But don't try to be an architect, an engineer of your process. Leave that to guidance. You focus on surrender. You focus on intensifying your spiritual practices. You focus on yams and niyams, making you better, elevating the frequency of yourself, making yourself worthy for guidance, praying for that guidance, and let it come. You subject yourself into the spiritual practice. You're doing it, in a sense, you're positioning yourself, you're making yourself available, ready, willing, but whatever needs there to be done, let meditation take care. Don't interfere in that, because you're just diverting it. You're just diverting the purpose of the practice. Don't suppose that you know what you need. You see, meditation has a life of its own. Spirit is life, and it takes care. It's like a patient in an operation room. He is lying down, surrendered. He has made the time to be there. He wasn't forced, unless it is an accident, but that would ruin our example. So it has made the time for it. He went there at that time. That's his part. And he is standing there, in his case, lying down. The surgeon is operating, doing the work. Everything is in its right order. So connect yourself to God. Connect yourself to the divine. Disconnect from the rest. And whatever is pushing you, forcing you to reconnect, cut it and live your fears. Don't worry about these connection with the elements and this and that, because, well, that's just waste of time. Do you want to ask anything else? If you want, okay. You mean transcending the limitation of the physical. Not just of the physical, all limitations. But yes, I remind again that there is this series of 14 videos on the YouTube channel. Sriman Narayana. On the channel Sriman Narayana, there is this series of videos, 14 videos, which is Igniting the Sacred Fires, the name of it. From there's this explanation from A to Z of the spiritual quest. A lot of clarifications are made. So for those of you who don't know it, it will probably worth your time or not. Well, that depends on you, but it is there. Okay, so next satsang, Saturday, 9 a.m. in the clock in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. Till then, make the best use of your time. Okay, much.